All right, guys. Today, while we prepare for our literature final, um, we're going to be talking about themes in Animal Farm. So last class we finished reading Animal Farm, and today we're going to kind of go through some final thinking with this, talk about the themes, think about the themes and how they relate to characters, kind of drive home these key ideas before our literature final next class. So themes, just as a reminder, kind of what themes are. It's the main idea in a story, the author's sort of message. We get that through the characters. We get that through the plot, and it can have multiple themes. There's not just one theme in a story. So there are some that are more obvious than others, but it's not like some secret thing that you're trying to find that one correct answer. You can defend your answer in a lot of different ways. So when you sit down and take our final next class on literature, and I ask you to read a story and come up with a couple of themes from that story, as long as you can defend your answer, then you'll be all right. So you're not looking for one exact answer. So one of the themes that we've already discussed in Animal Farm is that power corrupts. Power corrupts. And we saw that take place over the course of the story, with a character like Napoleon, with the other pigs with Squealer. There are themes in this book about, the power of words, the way that Squealer sort of changes the message of things like those original commandments and how those were twisted. There's themes about ignorance and education, like things related to that. Lots of different ways you could go. Kind of power, change, words, education, that type of thing. Leadership, government. So basically anything along those lines. Just remember that a theme is a complete statement. Power corrupts has a subject and something about that subject. Power itself is not a theme. So you can kind of come up with a couple more themes on your own. Let's get into characters. Characters and themes. So characters are closely related to a particular theme oftentimes, especially when we see a character change. A lot of times when we see a character evolve, they change the way they think, they change the way they act, they change the things that they say. And when we see those changes, a lot of times that will illustrate a theme, a main idea of the story. So on the right-hand side of the page here, you see power corrupts as the first theme, and then again, I want you to brainstorm a couple others to think of. And we're going to do a quick write right now. So pause this video in a second once you see the characters' names here, and you're going to do some writing in your notebook about how each character relates to a theme. So for example, power corrupts, that might have to do with Napoleon, it might have to do with Squealer, there might be, but I want you to come up with themes kind of related to these other characters too, of Boxer, of Old Major, of Snowball. Like try to, for as many of these characters, try to come up with a theme that sort of relates to that character. So pause the video, do that quick write in your notebook, talk to a neighbor or whatever, figure it out together. What themes you could match up with each one of those characters. So you've done your little quick write. So now the test prep, okay, the final sort of practice for our lit final. Next class, you are taking that lit final. You will read a short story and answer the following two questions. First, choose two pieces of dialogue or action that shows how a character changes in the way that they think, feel, or act from the beginning of the story to the end of the story. So you're thinking about a character and how they change. By the way, the story that we're reading is not long for the test, but it is complicated. Like it's not an easy story to figure out. So you'll probably have to read it a couple times to kind of process it. But it's not a super long story, so you've got that going for you. So two pieces of dialogue, one from the beginning, one from towards the towards the beginning of the character's development, one from later. It shows how they think, feel, or act, and how that changes. Your second question is going to ask you to summarize how the author uses specific details or events to illustrate two themes from the text. So two different themes. How did you see those themes develop? It could be specifically about these characters. That'd be a great way to think about the theme, is just apply what you were talking about with the character. It could be something else as well. It could relate to something in the plot. It could relate to a conflict in the story, whatever. But considering the characters is going to be very helpful too. Kind of how the character changes the way they think and feel from the beginning of the story to the end of the story. So those are the two questions that you will have on your test. And basically the study guide and what you're going to work on for the rest of class. You may work in a group of two if you'd like, but you could do it in a Google Doc, share that document between two of you, and use the RACECE structure. Restate, answer the question, cite and explain, cite and explain. Again, here are the two questions. So you'd restate as your topic sentence and answer the question, and then cite evidence, explain for each one of these. Okay. Now the second question, there's two different themes. So for that one, I would want you to break that into multiple race paragraphs. So you're going to need to, it'll probably end up being 3 race responses, 1 for the first question and 2 for the second question, because it's actually to write about 2 different themes. And if you can do that for Animal Farm, I'm confident that you'll be able to read a story that I give you next class and apply that knowledge to our new story that we're reading. Okay. If you've got questions, see me in Core Plus. But that is what your assignment is for the remainder of class.